Welcome, everyone. This is Coffee with the Founder. Sometimes we drink coffee, sometimes no, we don't because we're filming it late in the afternoon and
Get
we
some
could be.
water.
No, you got water? Okay, we got water. I got iced tea, so we're good. And I'm Beck Bamberger, and we're here with founders who raise a lot of money in this crazy venture backed technology world to understand a little bit more about what it means to be a founder, especially today in 2025. With us today, we have Scott Clark. He's the co-founder and CEO of Distributional, which is, of course, something in AI, but let's be more technical than that. Enterprise AI testing platform and designed to give, teams doing a lot of work, confidence in what they're getting from their AI. Did I get that about right, Scott?
That's perfect, Beck. Thanks so much for having me
Okay.
on.
Yes, thank you for being here. So we're going to get into it. First of all, we were just talking about this. I was like, we're buried in abundance. You're like, oh, I worked, did 6 hours of work on a Sunday. Like, okay, I'm all set. And then you come on Monday and you're like, oh crap, at 3 p.m. It's like, nope, still. Now I have a whole other list of all the things doing. How do you manage the workload?
Just constant, harsh reprioritization.
Harsh
Like you said, you,
reproduction.
you can just layer all these plans together, and then like the second you talk to a customer, the second you step into a product planning meeting or
Mm,
whatever it is, everything's always out the window. There's all these great quotes of like, got the best laid plans until the first shot is fired, or you get punched in the face, or whatever it may be. And it feels like a startup, it's all about rolling with the punches and making sure that you're just constantly reprioritizing and questioning your assumptions.
yes. Now, can I ask, how often do you do that? Are you like on a daily and is it subconscious? Or are you like, hey, every week on a Monday, I sit with my team and I blah, 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 or just triage always?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a multi-scale problem. So, like,
Yeah.
obviously, try to lay down like quarterly goals and OKRs and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But then week over week, things shift, hour over hour. And I
Yep.
mean, sometimes in a sales call, it's minute over minute. It's like, okay, like this path didn't work. We got to try this, or try to salvage whatever you can. And so, I think it's just this constant different scale problem that you're doing all the
Hmm.
time.
How do you, by the way, for your team, manage that fluctuation? I was just talking with my team about this on like, one day you're doing this and then you get more information. So we're pivoting to here. Like you do, you, it's not going with the wind, but it's adjusting to new information that comes in. How does your team react to that?
Yeah, so we try to lay a good foundation for this to be an expectation, both in terms of like our company values. Like one of them is transparency. So like
Yep.
we're going to tell you when we learn something, and the other is like experimentation and optimization. So like there's an expectation that we're going to be constantly tweaking stuff and trying
Hmm.
to make it better. And so, especially with a relatively large, I mean, we're only 27 people right now, but distributed team, it's about communicating early, often, continuously, and just again trying to be as transparent as possible. Like we thought this and now we think this
And
because
now
of
it's this.
this,
Yep.
but it's a hypothesis and we're going to
Yep.
test it, and if it's wrong then we're going to try this, and we just keep going. And I think people appreciate that as long as you're open and honest, and tell it to them straight. They're like, okay,
Hmm.
we're going to figure it out together.
Yes. Or we won't. And then that hence is no longer the startup, which is what every startup's uh, planning is about. So you got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay, but taking a step back, you were at Intel. Previously, you had another company. Intel. What? Why did you decide to go into the crazy idea of let me build a startup? And then you're at it again. It sounds like
Yeah, so
I call this founderitis.
yeah, exactly, there's
You
something
can't
wrong with
stop.
me.
You can't stop. Yep.
um So yeah, first one was basically my PhD thesis all grown up, and I had this vision that like, oh, everything in the world is an optimization problem. As long as you can tune and tweak various knobs and levers in these systems, then you can always be trying to build them into a better and better version of themselves. And it was all about how do
Hmm.
we do optimization on AI systems. This was early, kind of
This was
first wave ML
exactly.
AI.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you did a
And
math PhD, right?
yeah, applied
Yep,
math,
exactly.
and it was great. We got to work with a lot of really cool people. We were funded by Andreessen Horowitz back then as well too,
Hmm.
and we helped a lot of really elite firms optimize their recommendation systems, their fraud detection models, their hedge fund
Mm.
trading strategies, things like
Hmm.
that. One really interesting realization, though, and part of what I've got founderitis on is twofold. One is like I made a ton of mistakes in my first startup, like a lot of just like unforced errors that like you
Your
take
startup.
Yeah,
I call
exactly.
it.
I was just a dumb grad student. I didn't know anything about
Yeah.
international enterprise sales or building a team or anything like that. And so one of the things was always like, oh man, if I could go back and do it again, like I would do this smarter, this better, this faster, whatever it may be. But the other real big thing that really pushed me over the edge when I was at Intel and being like, I'm going to leave a relatively stable company and dive back in to the deep end was I just had another problem that was like, you know what? I think I might have been solving this wrong for the last decade. Like the real problem isn't optimization. It isn't about like trying to squeeze out a little bit more performance from these models. The real problem is trust. The real problem is
Yes.
confidence. And I think going back to the reprioritization and like constantly learning and questioning your assumptions, it was one of those epiphany moments where I was like, you know what? I've been going at this wrong for the last 10 or 15 years.
Oh.
I'm solving the wrong problem. And so like any good founder, I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
you know what? Let's solve that problem next then. Let's go after this. And that was that epiphany that was like, okay, optimization isn't the problem, confidence is the problem. Let's build that confidence engine.
Did it hit you like a ton of bricks, or was it over time and then you were like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was one of those epiphanies that was 10 years in the making. Like I can't tell
Okay,
you.
slow burn one. Yeah.
Yeah, how often we'd go in and optimize for some company, they'd love it, and they'd be like, "Oh, great! Like you made our eval function go up, you made whatever, but like, what did you break by doing that? Like, is it still robust? Like, did you introduce bias?" And they were like asking all these questions related to confidence, related to reliability and consistency, and we were always like, "Well,
Like,
that's
don't
not our
know.
problem. We optimized the eval, we made it better, so like that was all that's all we wanted to do."
Yeah.
And then just eventually it was like, you know what, that's actually holding back, especially with these LLMs because they're so powerful. But with that power comes a lot of risk. And so like we heard from a lot of different people that they were afraid to turn things on. They were afraid of waiting for the other shoe to drop. And in a way that might not have been the case when it was just binary classification and you're like, oh, well, whatever, maybe the accuracy goes down. Now it's like, what's it going to say to my customers? What's it going to promise?
Yeah. Ooh, okay, so you mentioned like afraid. What are your customers, and let's define that even a little bit more, most afraid of? So your customers are they are they cyber, are they CTO, are they like the tech stack, I'm assuming?
Yeah, so it's enterprises, so like Fortune 500, Global 2000. They've typically built like an AI platform to try to centralize some of their resources, and they care about consistency, reliability, trust, safety, these sorts of things.
Reputation too, so they don't want someone getting wrong stuff.
Exactly. There's some operational risk. It could be reputational, financial, regulatory, whatever. And so they use us as a way to augment that platform. It sits on top of the data and gives them this workflow for getting better behavioral test coverage, really understanding the nuances of what their models are doing as opposed to just the outputs and the metrics, the eval metrics. But yeah, a lot of what motivates them is opportunity and fear. To get back to what I think your question was, so it's like they see this massive opportunity, they see their competitors doing things, they see the power of LLMs, but they're afraid maybe to cross over what we call this AI confidence gap, to like try to put into production or try the hard use cases or to really let these things loose. And we try to bridge that gap by saying, hey, like, don't go it alone. Don't just hope for the best. Don't just trust, but also verify, also test.
And so you're coming in as a third party arbiter, auditor, we could say, a tech auditor in a way, just to say, hey, you're actually good, or, oh, this is going to happen, and so forth, so that they can feel, okay, I can do this.
Yeah, the platform allows them to do that themselves. So it starts with like a way to get started to bootstrap, and then you can customize it however you want to ensure and verify that confidence however you wish.
Good. Are you having fun?
I'm having a lot of fun. Like every day is its own struggle. It's.
By the way, wait, let's pause a second. Are you having fun? Yeah, every day. Every day is a struggle. Like this is part of founderitis also too is like pain. Pain is fun. We love
Yeah.
pain.
Well, it's kind of
It's
like
true.
working out, where
It
it's like
is. It is.
you get a little sore and like maybe you get an injury here or there, but
Yeah, I
you
get
still
some
go back to
bruises.
it.
You keep
Yeah.
going every day. Yeah.
But that means you're doing it right. That means you're growing. Like if it was easy, then you wouldn't be growing. You wouldn't be getting stronger. And so I'm definitely never bored.
I do think about that, that the ultimate, what I see with people who have exited, and we've all seen the articles and whatnot from people who are like, oh, okay, I exited. You, boredom is the the killer of like a founder's vibe, a founder's essence. Boredom, like just being like, I don't know any problems, I can't see any problems, or I'm just, I no, no.
Yeah.
The
Got to
boredom
always be
kills
building,
kills
always
the
be
spirit.
learning,
Yes,
failing, trying. Yeah.
exactly. So I like how you answered that. Okay. One of my fun questions is, how do you feel uniquely lucky?
Oh, I am so lucky. I can
Yeah.
think back on so many different times. Like I said, I was just some dumb grad student who had what
With
he
a
thought was.
PhD in math, let's just be clear, but go ahead.
Yeah, but like yeah, everybody thinks their PhD is interesting, and
This is also true. Yeah.
I had the hubris to be like, oh, like people will actually want to pay for this. Like I can build a company here, and I got incredibly lucky that we were able to find great investors, a great team, and a good early market, and they gave us the ability to really see that through. But it was one of these things where I think to be a founder, you need to have a little bit of that hubris, a little bit of that naivete to be able to say, I think I can actually do something that should be impossible. And I'm
That's
incredibly
delusion.
lucky. Yeah, it's a delusion, but
Delusion.
I got lucky that people believed and went along for the ride, and we were able to do some incredible stuff. So working with some of the people that I've been able to work with, being in the room when certain
Hmm.
decisions were being made, and I mean, there's a lot of different coin flips that, like, had we not
Hmm.
gotten into YC, had we not gotten Andreessen Horowitz to fund our seed round back then, like, there's all
See,
these
see,
things that
see. Yeah.
had it landed a different way, who knows?
Hmm. This second time around, what is different from you as maybe a founder or a leader?
So yeah, I talked about like learning from all those
Yes.
old mistakes.
Yes. Your startup. Yes.
Exactly. So now I get to make all new mistakes 10
Yep.
times faster.
Yep. Yes. Exactly. Uh,
um, which can it's great because it means we're able to kind of level ourselves up. But now when we hit a brick wall, we hit it real hard. And
got it. So, and why the acceleration? Because you're more money, more funding, more people, shorter
yeah,
people. Like, why is it 10x?
yeah. So yeah, like you said, more money, more funding, more
Yeah.
people, more connections. Like we know how to get it rolling again too. Some of the things that, and we went through, yeah, the first one went through YC. That was a great accelerator. It felt like we jammed the first year of the startup into 3
Yeah.
months. It feels like we've been jamming the first 5 years of my first startup into this last year and a half.
Oh, really
And
great.
some of it is just, a little bit more, but you also hold yourself to a higher bar. You have bigger expectations, bigger potential, and things like that too. So I think it's good, but it's definitely a double-edged sword in terms of stress and
Oh yeah.
speed and everything like that.
Oh
But
yeah.
it's great.
What's the higher bar you're holding for yourself?
Just success. Like we were able to exit the first company,
Yeah.
and did it well enough that a lot of the same teams on board for the second time around, a lot of the same investors around for the second time. Andreessen Horowitz led our seed again this time around.
Oh, that I mean, that is like holy grail in the startup world. Your top notch VCs back again. I mean, obviously if you exited and gave them a lot, but like awesome.
Yeah, and so we take that with a lot of responsibility too. But it's like we
Hmm.
think we can do as well or better, and keep growing.
In fact, I wonder what the stats are. I don't have them pulled up right in front of me. I could, of like, ooh, the double or the triple bet on the founder. Like they did it once. Now, you could get into the math because this is your department, Scott, where you're like, well, probability wise, you're not going to have two, billion-dollar exits or something. So interesting to think about. What's the probability of that?
I think a lot of investors love second and third time founders
Oh
because,
yeah.
again, yeah, you just make so many mistakes. It's like if you could do
Listen,
college again, you'd be so much better. If you could do
oh,
whatever again, you'd be
100%.
so much better. Yeah.
Well, it's the startup.
Yeah.
And if you luckily get out of that thing alive and actually make some money, it's like, wow, because now, as what you were just saying, is like, well, you hit the brick wall 10x harder. Now I learn much faster from that.
Yeah. And I know all about brick walls, so I'm just going to keep pounding my head.
What the walls are. Yes, you know the
Yeah.
walls, so it doesn't hurt that bad. Oh my gosh. Okay. What's your favorite emotion and why? I love this question.
I'd say
don't say pain. That's not an emotion.
I was going to say the one that drives me the most is definitely, I'd say, fear. Like I'm much more of a between carrot and stick. Like the stick is what drives me more than imagining a beach or like a fancy vacation or something like that. It's like
when did you know this?
I don't know. I think I've always been a procrastinator, and so I think I've learned this that like the longer I wait for something, or like I would do homework or cram for a test, and it's always like, oh, okay, now I got to get really serious, and it provides a clarity of thought. It provides some constraints and things like that, and that's one of the nice things about running a startup is you're constantly terrified that it's all going to come crumbling down around you. You're not going to be able to build the plane before you crash. So I think it's a helpful emotion, but we'll see.
Oh, I'd love a survey on this too. Like where are we, sticks or carrots oriented? What do you think it would be?
I mean, you need a bit of a mix. Like you still need to have that hopeful optimism and things like that. But I would say I would bet more successful founders are motivated by doing the right thing and making it work at whatever cost, as opposed to being like, oh, I want to get rich someday or something like that. Like that's when it gets really tough. Falling back on that fear helps drive me forward, as opposed to being like, oh, well, I'm not going to have a yacht someday or whatever.
God. By the way, I saw a little Instagram ad and I love this. It's just like a windbreaker, and it was like, no crying on the yacht, no crying on the yacht. And I was like, I got to use this someday, somewhere. That's what I would do for a founder retreat. If we had it on a yacht or something, I'd be like, everyone put on this windbreaker, no crying on the yacht, especially when it's yours.
Yeah, I love that.
But no yacht for you, Scott, because we're avoiding the sticks or the bricks or whatever.
Exactly. You don't get good Wi-Fi in a yacht.
Yeah, it'd be bad. It'd be bad. Oh, gosh. Okay. What about what recently became clear for you?
Oh, man.
Today, in the last hour, who knows? Because you're hitting it at 10x.
Just how impossible actual clarity is. To be honest, maybe I'll take the flip of it. Where
thank you for that real answer.
Yeah. Yes, it's every time you think you have something figured out, there's always like another layer to it. There's always another door behind another door behind another door, and so I think you have to just be zen with the struggle, with the uncertainty, with the fact that especially in this AI market, especially with things moving fast, this like macro geopolitical environment, like you just have to be okay with the chaos and the uncertainty, and you'll never have perfect clarity, but that doesn't mean you can't make progress.
I kind of think we should end it there, Scott.
All right. Mic drop.
Mic drop right there, Scott. Is there any last thing you want to like promote, celebrate, highlight?
Yeah,
any enterprise 500s out there listening in, you get on this. There you go. That's our ad.
So we recently just redid all of our branding, did a big release of our new product, whole new workflow to make it easier to get this confidence through this kind of adaptive testing. And so if you're an enterprise out there that's got an AI platform and you want a little bit more confidence, we can bolt on top of your data and give you this workflow to get better adaptive behavioral testing of your AI.
Yes, I think we all need that. Well, especially those enterprise ones. So yes, cool. Scott Clark with us today, co-founder, Distributional. Love it.
Thanks, Beck. Really great to chat
again.
You're so
welcome. 10x that brick wall. 10x that brick wall.
Perfect.
That's my take-home message. Oh, love it. Appreciate it.